Now, those of you who know me or followed my work or just listened to enough of my digital content know that I like to model. Right? Financial modeling for me is, dare I say it, fun. It's something I've been doing for a number of years, and I like the problem solving aspect of it. I like the fact I can ask questions, I can test hypotheses and investment theses, I can run different scenarios, and I can try and figure out what is ultimately embedded within a stock price. And this is mostly done within a spreadsheet, although people are using more and more code these days, but Excel is still predominantly the way people tend to work in order to run these valuations. And they're great pieces of kit if you know how to use them well. And look on the platform, there's a whole bunch of content on here which is just going to make you better as a financial modeler. But there is a but here. And the but is that we sometimes, and myself included, get a little bit too obsessed with the numbers. Companies just become numbers in a spreadsheet, and we're asking about consensus, we're thinking about forecasts, and next quarter, the quarter after that, and it's numbers. And I think there's a real danger that we lose the fact of, we lose sight of what these numbers actually are. Numbers are just the disclosure of human behavior. Companies are investment vehicles. It's what's behind those companies, what people do is what generates those numbers. They're just an output. And I think if you're in a situation where you're not thinking about the company, you're not thinking about its operations, I think a lot of what I'm saying now actually links into the video where I talked about Peter Lynch and the idea of invest only in things that you know. You've got to know the business. And you've got to understand the business and the operations and the reinvestment strategy and this expansion strategy, so you can understand what's happening to these numbers, and a background story to the numbers and the profile that you're building. This also links into one of the ideas I'll talk about in one of the following videos about the consistency narrative. Companies are interrelated, integrated objects or vehicles. Things don't happen in a vacuum. If you forecast out an increase in revenue growth, that's not something that happens by itself. It's linked into things like production, supply chain, having more members of staff, thinking about your branding, your advertising. Where do you find the money to spend on this kind of stuff to do this expansion? It's all got a link in there. And if you're ever in a situation where you're thinking just about the numbers, I think you're possibly going wrong. Right? You've always got to be thinking about the business and the business model, and the numbers really are a derivative of that and an output of that. And keeping that lens, I think, is vitally important. So if you ever sat there thinking numbers, just take a break, stop, take a step back, and just remember, behind all of those numbers is a business. Behind that business is probably people. Right? These days things are changing, but it's probably people running the business, doing the operations, reinvesting, and then the numbers really come out as an output. Just remember that point. Cheers.